can see Luke afterwards for the answer. Okay, so we do these in alphabetical order, and the last company is ZibaHub, starts with a Z. So I want to introduce founder Mandana Salehi Stewart, and who has created a professional social networking platform connecting health and beauty practitioners to jobs, customers, and to each other. Mandana?
Thank you, Julie. So raise your hand if you have a LinkedIn account, and keep them raised if you've had a haircut in the past year. And keep them raised if you are LinkedIn to the person who last cut your hair. So most of the hands go down here because 90% of the health and beauty market does not use LinkedIn. I will tell you why this is a problem. The gig economy has created markets where nobody saw anything coming. These were markets that didn't exist before the internet. So who would have ever thought that the nanny business would be worth $200 million a year someday, or that home improvement services would be bringing in $500 to $600 million a year, or that dog walking would be a $2 billion or $1 billion industry? All of these gig economy enablement platforms have the same formula. You create a profile, you connect to your audience, you post some pictures of your work, you get ratings, rinse and repeat. But there's still one major economy silo that doesn't have an enablement platform. This industry is already bringing in $150 billion a year with a broken marketplace. The opportunity is pretty clear. There are about 2 million stylists in the US, and this doesn't include all of the other silos of health and beauty. We're just talking about hair. So there are about 2 million stylists in the US, and these stylists are very nomadic, so they move about every 18 to 24 months, which results in $350 million a year of loss for the salons and the spas that employ them. So every time there's a vacancy, there's going to be money lost for these salons. The product companies are spending $10 billion a year to advertise to this particular group. So they're going to places like Facebook and Instagram, and they are doing their best to try to reach this very disparate market. We've done the math, and we know that the opportunity in this particular marketplace could lead us to $12 million in revenue by our second year if we get the correct funding we need to reach our very first target group, which is our job platform. Imagine if this industry, with its disparate locations and broken marketplace, is already creating $150 billion a year. What will happen when we integrate the marketplace and we put the stylists in touch with the schools, the salons, the customers, each other, and the product companies? Our scaling model is pretty simple. We are going to start with the spa services industry, which includes hair, nails, skin, and massage, and then we're going to go after the rest of the health and beauty market. We have multiple revenue streams, which will be deployed in sequence. And we have an executive team that is slated to capture the market. I have helped to scale 2 startups in the Portland area over the last 10 years as a sales leader. And my strategic advisor, Holly Johnson, is the COO of Bishops.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did great. Thank you. Panelists?
So what is going to keep stylists if they go on this and they don't like other platforms? What about your platform is going to keep them on and retain them?
Sure. So stylists right now are using Instagram more than anything else. And Instagram is a great tool for them to showcase their work. This is a group of creative people who live and die by photographs and pictures of their life and their work. What we've put in place to make the community-enabled platform more attractive to stylists is we put in a digital bartering system. So we know that stylists already trade a lot of services. So they trade like hair for nails or massage for skincare services. So we actually put in a marketplace that allows people to go in and list what they're looking for and what they're offering and try to exchange services. We found that through all of the focus groups we've done, that was the most attractive thing that the industry was asking for. And the question we were asking was, what do you wish Instagram could do that it doesn't do? And they were like, oh, we wish that it would enable us to trade services a little bit more efficiently.
Can you spend a little bit more time on the business model? So, advertising is one type of company,
Sure.
A job match with a bounty, that seems like that's a different type of company. What's the business model?
So the business model is in 4 sequential streams. The very first stream is actually going to be the job board. So we are not actually a job board. We are a community-enabled social media platform. But one of our revenue streams is the job board, and the job board is where salons and spas and eventually all of the healthcare clinics can go and they can post jobs. So they will be paying a monthly subscription to be able to post jobs as well as browse stylist profiles proactively. So even if they don't have a job that's posted, they can still go and they can see who's in the market, they can view people's profiles, and they can contact them as needed.
Just a follow-up on that. So it seems like getting the stylists on the platform is the key first step.
Absolutely.
So that the companies have someone to post to. That's a consumer marketing exercise. Can you talk a little bit about what's your unfair advantage? How are you going to do that quickly?
Sure. So being partners with Bishops, which has over 200 franchises already deployed in the U.S., gives us a huge first-to-market advantage because we have a built-in marketplace. We also have, being, again, partners with Bishops, we have access to a lot of the influencers on social media who work with Bishops, so they're going to help us get the word out a little bit more organically than we would be able to do on our own for a more cost-efficient deployment model. We also have partnerships, and we've been talking to the schools. So we know that the cosmetology schools, the massage schools, all have an incentive to work with us because once their students graduate, they still have a government mandate to be able to report back on placement rates. And so we will talk to them about telling their students to get on our platform from day one when they're in school, which just kind of pumps people into our social ecosystem. And in exchange, when they want to see where their students are years down the line, we can produce those reports and sell it back to them. So that's another revenue stream for us as well.
We have some questions in the audience. Okay, come up with some questions, and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah. So how do you know that salons are going to actually pay to post these jobs? What have you done, and how have you talked to them?
So in addition to the market research we've done, we know that salons are already paying somebody to post jobs somewhere. So we know that they're posting on Craigslist, they're posting on Indeed, they're posting a lot of them on LinkedIn, even though LinkedIn doesn't actually have their demographic that they're trying to reach. But what we really know is that there was a company in Portland called Parlor Gig. Parlor Gig launched about a year and a half ago, and they sort of were the hair version of Poached. So they were inspired by Poached. They created a job board, and that's where all the salon jobs were listed. So we acquired Parlor Gig, and we acquired with that all of their customers who were paying customers who were posting jobs already. And we also acquired the knowledge that went into creating that job board. So we know that the money's out there. We know people are spending it. We're just trying to give them a more efficient marketplace to deploy those jobs.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Cindy DeSoto, and I have a question for you with regard to the type of stylists that you're actually targeting. So I understand the student model, and I'm curious, is somebody going to the schools to help the students figure out how to create a profile? That's one question. And then my second one, you mentioned using Bishop's current employee base as part of your gig. But they wouldn't necessarily be looking for employment. So could you speak a little bit to the type of person you're looking to have on your platform exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. So the schools right now all have about 2 to 5 days worth of training for social networking. So that's part of their curriculum. And during those 2 to 5 days, depending on the school, they are teaching their students how to market themselves once they graduate. We plan to become a part of that curriculum. We are going to put together some video tutorials, but for the ones that are in the Portland area and we can travel to them, especially in the beginning as we're getting the word out, we do plan to be there for those days to train their students on how to create their profiles, how to have a professional headshot. We even plan to take a photographer with us to take those professional headshots for them to help round out those profiles from the time they're in school. The second part with Bishops, we are looking for anybody who is in the industry to join the platform. So regardless of if they're looking for a job or not, we want them on our platform. So we are giving them a lot of things that are attractive to them, such as a news feed. So when you go on LinkedIn, For us in, technology or any other industry that uses LinkedIn, there's a news feed with stuff that's relevant to us. The content is relevant. We're doing the same thing in ZibaHub. So there's going to be a news feed that keeps people engaged with a lot of the videos and tutorials and things that are directed specifically to them. Again, there's the job board if they're looking for jobs, but there is that buy, sell, trade marketplace, that digital bartering system that most people are telling us is the most attractive part to them as users. So that will keep them, going back and checking to see what's new on ZibaHub. And then down the line, we're going to build in other solutions such as consumer enablement. So a customer can also use that same profile that the stylist created to find them by their specialty and then, book a service with them and give them a rating instead of going on Yelp to rate the salon.
Question from the balcony on the right-hand side, or my right-hand side.
Hi, my name is Lisa Sipe. I was wondering if you're competing with Style Seat. It's what I use with my stylist, and when she's moved, I've been able to find out where she's at, and so I always look and see, has she moved? Can I book another appointment? So is that a competitor of yours?
No, not at all. Actually, StyleSeat is a great example. So StyleSeat is a scheduling platform out of the Bay Area. They've raised about $40 million. They're a great example of people moving toward this industry and finally starting to recognize that there's a market here. StyleSeat would actually be very complementary to our product because once we go live and we allow consumers to start booking with stylists, we do plan to integrate with tools like StyleSeat or MindBody or Booker, Schedulicity, lots of other scheduling tools out there. We're not going to build our own. There's too many out there, like StyleSeat, who are doing a great job with it. We are more on the enablement side for the stylist to be able to find a job and to be able to connect with each other.
Some questions here.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think you said 12 million in revenue after the first couple of years. Maybe just back it up to the first million in revenue. What does that look like? Is that just at a very high level? Is it X thousands of businesses paying Y dollars a month? How do you see the first million in revenue coming in?
Sure. So our first go-to-market pricing model is going to be $50 a month subscription for the salons. We are planning to do a soft launch here in the not here, this is Bend, in the Portland market. And then after Portland, we plan to expand a little bit north into Seattle and then eventually down south to first Los Angeles and then San Francisco. So using that $50 a month model, we do believe that we'll hit our first million in the first year, as long as we have the right funding that we need to be able to do those expansions on plan.
Just one moment, please. I see you.
No,
I see you.
Can you talk a little bit about the milestones that you've achieved so far? I'm stealing Matt's question here. The milestones you achieved so far, what you're going to do with the funding, the milestones that you're going after.
Sure.
Can you answer that in haiku so I can make sure to include this person?
Yes. So we actually started developing the software back in February. So before then, it was just kind of an idea. I was still working my day job and just kind of had this idea to do this based on my mom. My mom is in the industry, my grandmother's in the industry, my sister-in-law's in the industry. So I was kind of inspired by the women who surrounded me and all of their lack of ability to do all the things that I was able to do in my professional networking life. So we started in February. We were able to raise about $100,000 so far. We're very capital efficient. We have the product already built. We're ready to deploy. We have enough to deploy in the Portland market. And so we're just looking for an infusion of funds to be able to do a larger deployment at this point.
One sentence question, one sentence answer.
Hi, I'm Sandy
Hi.
Cloud. As someone who struggles with giving enough time to social media and not scattering myself too far abroad, how do you see pulling those folks from Instagram, where it's really become easy, to a less visual LinkedIn-ish type platform?
And that will remain a mystery.
No, I have to answer that.
No, I'm sorry. I really, could you connect afterwards and answer that
Okay.
question? And look, these people will be here, right? So it's not just their moment on the stage, they'll be around.
Can I
Thank
tell
you.
them one last thing? Come
I'm
on,
sorry,
Julie.
no.
But there's
No, I know. Oh, is that from you? You can't go.
Arrest?
No, the sheriff will come up and make an arrest, but there's something under your seat.
So 100 of you have free haircuts underneath your seats, courtesy of our partners over at Bishop, so you can validate the market for yourselves. Thank you.
Okay. Now, thank you to the 5 intrepid souls that presented. Give them a round of applause. Thank you to our esteemed panelists for your expertise and time.